Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm so pleased to be joined by Jared Leto, the Oscar-winning actor who plays WeWork co-founder and former CEO Adam Neumann on the Apple TV Plus limited series WeCrashed. Congratulations on this performance, Jared. It's so great. I love the show so much, and I was so excited to talk to you. I guess you were playing Adam Neumann, a real figure. Obviously, a lot of interviews with him, and there's tons of footage on him. Where do you start when you're kind of preparing to play a character like Adam?
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me here today in your house with you. And yeah, there was a ton of material because it's such a recent and relevant story. There was just, that's the age we're living in. I was buried in interviews and lots of footage, both audio and video. And I just dove in. He is a verbose guy. It's one of his great abilities is he has a way with words, and so there was a lot to dive into, and that's what I did.
I read another interview you did where you talked about you actually had like a meeting with him and his wife Rebecca before the show, kind of like a clandestine meeting a little bit. How much did that help you, like, and really kind of inform what you were doing with the character? How did that work? I guess, what did you get out of that?
I did. I had a bit of a top secret meeting with Adam, and he wasn't involved with the project in any way, but I just was curious, and I felt like there was more benefit to meeting him than not, and so we tracked him down, and I actually was never going to tell anybody that we ever met, but he mentioned it in an interview that he did a few months ago, and it was interesting. I mean, I liked him a lot. I found him to be really compelling and smart, articulate, really kind, and I met him and his wife, and he's got this big, beautiful family, kids running all over the place, and it was interesting, and I had a list of questions that I wanted to ask him, so it was ultimately really helpful, although it was a short meeting, and I had done a lot of the work already. I've done a lot of the research, I've done a lot of the preparation already, but it was certainly the icing on the cake.
Yeah, and you're not direct, you're playing Adam, but it's a variation of Adam, right? Like, it's not like it's not a documentary, so it's not like you're, so I understand, like, you are creating a character. I guess one of the things I really love,
Christopher, I told him that as well. I mean, I said, this is never going to be you. This is an impressionistic image, based on people's subjective ideas of what happened. And I also told him that he probably should never watch it, which he talked about as well. But anyway, yeah, it was helpful, and I'm glad that I did it. And I think he was interested to meet me as well. Probably, I'd be interested to maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I just I don't know.
Well, anyway. One of the things you said it there too, and like one of the things I like about the show so much is that I think there's another version probably of this show or somebody playing Adam where it's it's very villainized or very kind of like finger on the scale. And I love how you mentioned how you liked him there, and he's just a very likable person. And I feel like while obviously WeWork kind of spins out of his control and whatever, I do feel like they're coming at it from a good perspective at the start, right? It's not like a scam or whatever from the jump. And I really appreciate that in the portrayal. I guess, was that like a surprise to you how did your own opinion of him change as you played the character throughout?
I mean, I never had a bad opinion of him because I didn't know that much about him. I had heard about him kind of through the grapevine, that he was a colorful character, a bit eccentric at times, and of course I'd seen headlines, but I really didn't dive in that deep until they sent me the project. but I made it pretty clear at the top that I wasn't interested in doing a takedown piece. I didn't want to just kind of, play a villain. And, I really pushed for all of us to take a look at a human being there. And I'm glad that was the approach that we took. I thought it was much more interesting, to me, at least. I found it to be a more compelling path. And that's my job, is to look, when you're playing a part, is to find empathy, to find understanding, to find common ground, connectivity, and to bring a life to the screen.
Yeah, you do an amazing job here, especially the accent as well is really incredible. I'd imagine, I guess, can you talk a little about like how you were able to perfect that Israeli accent? It's so very recognizable, and at the end of the show there's like a little footage of Adam, real life Adam, talking, and it's very uncanny work that you're doing there. So I guess, like, how much, like, what went into getting his accent right?
Hours and hours and hours of work. But I had a great team of Israelis that were helping me. I had someone on the ground in Israel. I actually tried to I wanted to spend a couple of months in Israel, but I couldn't get in. It was fully locked down from the pandemic. So I did the next best thing, is I surrounded myself with a small team of people in New York and in Israel, and we worked incessantly. We went through dialogue and character and culture and language, and I had a Hebrew teacher as well, and I just wanted to do the best that I could. I feel like when I do accents, it's really my job to work as hard as I can and to bring that part of the character to life with as much dignity and respect as possible. And that's what I did here. I mean, it's easy. We can go through a long list of crimes of dialogue out there. Some are quite funny, but just in life. And I feel like you gotta spend the time and do the best that you can. And I had just a really tenacious team that wasn't afraid to tell me when things weren't right. So very, very grateful to them.
Yeah, it's incredible. I wanted to ask you too. You obviously mentioned Adam's wife before. Anne Hathaway is in the show as well, playing Rebecca. It's an incredible performance. I think the two of you work so well together, and at least from my outsider perspective, I feel like maybe you are both fiercely committed performers who approach the work slightly differently. But I just found your partnership on screen so compelling. And I guess, can you talk about how you guys work together to create that intimate Adam-Rebecca relationship, which really does make up like the backbone of the show? Obviously, I think is another thing that I really like about it, is that it's so focused on their relationship at its core.
Yeah, I mean, that's the genius of Lee and Drew as creators and writers. I mean, and I think what made the project a bit different too is they wanted to focus on the Sid and Nancy, the two characters that are kind of in it together against the world. And Annie was the perfect partner here. I mean, she's really one of the best ever. Just an absolute pro and such a master actor. Every scene and every time I came to set, I knew that we would find something special together. It's impossible to look her in the eyes and not have some kind of inspiration. So yeah, very indebted to her, because I think we both felt like we had an opportunity to see what we were made of, to dig deep, and to hopefully be part of something that we were, proud of, and that audiences loved or love. And we both went on that journey together. I mean, it was a pure partnership, and she was just fantastic. I absolutely adored her and the opportunity.
Yeah, you mentioned the surprise, like a surprise thing. One of the things I love about your performances, especially like the transformative ones like this, or like House of Gucci, is you're always able to, as a viewer, I'm always surprised of what you're doing from scene to scene. And I just find that it's very exciting. And I guess in a movie, you only have like, you know, a 3-hour movie like House of Gucci, let's say it's a part of a bigger ensemble and stuff. This is your, you know, you're in every scene pretty much. It's an 8-hour show. I guess, can you talk about from an acting standpoint, like how do you keep up that level of commitment to make sure you're still surprising the audience in the final episode as much as you did in the first episode? And or was that tricky to have this kind of longer form storytelling for you with this kind of committed performance?
I loved every single second of it. I really did. There wasn't a day, even on my most exhausted days, I never wished that I was somewhere else. I absolutely, for me, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. I'd never had that kind of challenge. I'd never had that much dialogue. I'd never given that many speeches. I mean, speeches upon speeches upon speeches, and I was ready for it. I never felt more ready for it than I felt on that set.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, Christopher. It's like, it's a strange thing. I've been maybe avoiding this for a long time, but I finally felt like I was ready for the challenge, to the opportunity. I was ready to kind of take the baton and run with it. And it was a special time. Great character, great dialogue, great writers, great, you know, actors, surrounded by a team. And, you know, we should talk for a minute too about just the talent of the supporting team. Phenomenal. I mean, just the riches in New York of people that would show up for a day, half a day, you know, just a small scene and just be mind-blowing. And there was a lot of improvisation, a lot of ad-libbing, and it was just a rich, as far as the creative journey went, it was a really rich one. Really, really special one. Yeah.
It's also you obviously you've been funny before, and like obviously there's comedy in House of Gucci, like with like Paolo's a sad clown. Like when I interviewed you about that one, we talked about that. But I think you're really funny in the show too. In addition to like hitting all the dramatic stuff, I mean, do you? I feel like you could do more comedy. Is that something you want to do, or do you approach it differently when you're doing something that's like inherently comedic, like some of the scenes here with Adam? I feel like it is played, you know, for laughs. I was, you know, it's a very enjoyable character. Like you said, he's so engaging and so entertaining, for lack of a better word. I guess, do you enjoy doing that kind of comedy stuff? And do you want to do that more?
Well, I'm a very unfunny person, Christopher.
That's not
I
true.
have to tell you
That's
that.
funny.
It's only, yeah. I loved it. It's you know, I thought Sparma and Little Things was quite funny.
He was very funny character.
That's just me.
He was.
I mean, and if you could look at the edited room floor for a lot of these performances, you find some pretty zany stuff. I mean, I like that kind of comedy that really, where you go on a limb and you know, you crash and burn often, but there's once in a while you'll hit something that's just so out there. And I have a pretty dry sense of humor as well. I liked that for all of these reasons. I mean, it was a chance. There are very few things that are as fun as, you know, hearing the stifled laughter in the middle of what is supposed to be a very serious scene, and, you know, to have the boom operator shaking because he can't control his giggles. But that's a fun thing to do. I've done a lot of things on the darker side of the universe, and I may have made people cry before, but it's nice to make people laugh. That's a beautiful thing. I mean, I would absolutely love to do more of that. I've always loved Peter Sellers. You know, he's a person who's, you know, obviously an immersive actor and loved transformation, but also had incredible comedic abilities too.
Yeah, I think that's good. It's good to hear. Wrapping up here, I know you obviously, so last 3 projects you've done was like House of Gucci, incredible transformation. Morbius came out this year, big hit, and like, you know, again, like a superhero thing. And then you have obviously WeCrashed, where you're playing Adam in another transformation. I feel like you've been so busy and doing all these different things, and again, all different facets of performance, and kind of definitely surprising. Do you have like, what's something, or how do you want to challenge yourself next? Or like, what are you looking forward to do next that you're like, oh, I haven't really done that before? Because I feel like these 3 in a row are like all vastly different and seemingly were very challenging. Obviously, Morbius was shot a couple of years ago, came out now because of the pandemic and stuff. I understand that, but like, you know, like what are you looking for next as like your next challenge?
Well, there's only one answer to that question, Christopher. It's rom-com, baby. Rom-com.
Let's do it.
I'm in. I don't even need to read the script. As long as it shoots in like Hawaii or somewhere, you know, just like 8-hour days. You know, hey, if you talk to Annie, I'm in. She comes across the script. Her and I, we can run that one up the flagpole. It would be fun. I mean, I've rarely done something like super ridiculous and like over the top. Oh no, I can't say I haven't done something ridiculous and over the top. Of course I have, but I haven't done a film like that's just hilarious and ridiculous. That might be something to do. You know, I don't know, maybe a Cheech and Chong sequel or something.
I mean, all that sounds good. I was looking for this quote. Matthew McConaughey, who you obviously were with in Dallas Buyers Club, but he was talking once about like doing like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and stuff, and he called that like you know, it's like a lifetime of Sundays basically, because it's just so carefree to do those kind of movies. So maybe a
lifetime of Sundays. That's what I need. Yeah. 7 days a week of Sundays. That's hilarious, by the way. Yeah, and wouldn't it be the worst if I went and did it and then it turned out to be the most grueling, miserable experience that you could ever have?
Yeah.
But I don't, you know, this opened up my, it changed my perspective of things as well, because I really enjoyed doing a limited series like this.
Yeah.
I got to spend time. I work so goddamn hard on these characters. It's always heartbreaking to leave them,
right,
you know, after a short amount of time. So this was great because I really got a chance to dig in and spend time with the character, explore all options, all avenues, all different, you know, temperatures and emotions. And, you know, I like that a lot. So, you know, we'll see what the future has in store.
Yeah, well, it's a wonderful performance.
Thanks, Ben.
Jared Leto, thank you so much. WeCrashed. All the episodes are streaming on Apple TV. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It's really good. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. I'll talk to you soon.